Hello and welcome back. I'm Nnamz and this is my review of Child of Light on PS Vita. Like with all my normal reviews, the graphics, sound, and gameplay will be separately scored, and then an overall score, which is not an average, will be given at the end of the review, which reflects my overall opinion of the game. Child of Light is the third game built on Ubisoft's UbiArt framework, which is a development platform designed to make game development easier for smaller teams. Games built with this engine include both 2D Rayman games and Valiant Hearts, all of which are glorious looking, with the Rayman games being a couple of the best looking games on the PlayStation Vita, so it came as no surprise to me that Child of Light is glorious looking on PlayStation Vita. Characters are superbly animated. Aurora's hair seems to dance around her head as you move through the game or engage in battles. The hand-painted backgrounds are also beautiful and contrast with the moving characters and feeling of the world very well. Child of Light also uses some minor lighting and visual effects, both in the overworld and in combat, which are quite nice. The only real downside to the visuals is that unlike Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends, which were both identical looking to the console games, Child of Light is slightly downgraded. It is missing a few minor effects here and there, and character models don't look as sharp as the console version, but I can't state enough that this is a beautiful looking game still, and definitely one of the prettiest games on the Vita. The minor technical issues compared to the console versions isn't really a problem in a game which relies so heavily on art style, and it comes through in a big way on the Vita. The graphics for Child of Light get a 9 on 10.
But there could be no doubt. For all intents and purposes, Aurora was dead. And yet, once upon a time, she awoke in a strange land instead.
Perhaps with the exception of Tearaway, Child of Light has the best and most fitting soundtrack of a Vita game that I have ever experienced. The game itself is a poem, and the dialogue of the game rhymes as a testament to that, which combined with the beautiful art style and superb soundtrack really pull it all together. Overworld themes are somber, creepy, upbeat, foreboding, anything they need to be depending on the area, tone, and context of what's happening. Talking about it really doesn't do it justice either. The battle themes are excellent as well, especially the boss themes. Sound effects while in battle are also well done. The hits sound sharp, meaty, and visceral, which is exactly what you want out of an RPG. There is no voice acting in the game, but given that the dialogue rhymes, it would be incredibly difficult to pull it off without sounding a little bit silly. There is some minor audio skipping that happens sometimes before battles, which prevents the audio from being perfect, but Child of Light really is a feast for the ears. The sound also gets a 9 out of 10. Child of Light is a turn-based RPG akin of what would have come out of Japan in the glory days of RPG development. It has an action timeline similar to Grandia 2, where each character can only act when their icon is moved from the left side of the timeline to the right of it. Also like Grandia 2, characters have the ability to interrupt enemies who have almost reached the right side of the timeline and are ready to attack. This makes battles very strategic, as more powerful attacks take longer to reach the end of the timeline and come out, which could result in you being interrupted and reset. There are no random battles in Child of Light. Instead, it opts for enemies you can see and ambush, or be ambushed by, in the overworld map. I love this implementation since it let me tackle the game at my own pace and recover life or move slowly when I needed to. The game is fairly easy on the default difficulty, so I would recommend to anyone with a bit of experience in the RPG genre to crank up the difficulty to hard. On that difficulty, I had to grind a bit before several tough boss battles, but it's never hard enough to grow frustrating. The story in Child of Light is based off of a fairy tale. Despite character dialogue constantly rhyming, the game does get rather dark at points, which is a welcome twist that I wasn't expecting. Child of Light isn't an exceptionally long game for the genre that it's in. It took me about 20 to 25 hours to finish the main story on hard, which in my opinion is the perfect length for a game like this. Too many games in this genre get too grindy and repetitive to inflate their length, which causes me to lose interest in them at around the 30-hour mark unless superb story elements pull me back in. Child of Light never overstays its welcome in this way. It is the perfect length, especially given its lower price point. Child of Light isn't an innovative game, and isn't the first to do many of the things which make it great. But in the end, it is its execution of several borrowed RPG traits which make it fantastic. The gameplay of Child of Light gets an 8.5 on 10. Beautiful 2D visuals, an amazing and epic soundtrack, and excellent use of fantastic RPG elements is what Child of Light is all about. If you're an RPG fan, play this game. It's that simple. Overall, Child of Light gets a 9 out of 10.